Hey, what's up everybody? Esam here bringing you another video. This one my second installment of my Let's Talk, and this is about tier lists. So I'm just going to say my opinion straight up. Tier lists don't matter at all. There are three categorization for characters that most people agree with. Very tournament viable, kind of tournament viable, but you need like a secondary, and not viable. And that's across like every fighting game. You know, I think the very viable characters are the top, let's say, like Sheik, Pikachu, Fox, Ness, you know, all those type of characters, like all the top tiers, Zero Suit. And then the kind of viable characters are the ones that you see sometimes, like Peach and Toon Link and Kirby. And then you see your unviables, which are like Zelda and Lucina, and characters, like, people only play them really as secondaries when, like, they're kind of just trolling or they're significantly better than their opponent. But, like, the thing is, inside those specific designations, nothing matters. Like, whether or not Pikachu is the second best character, the third best character, the sixth best character, the ninth best character, it doesn't matter. He's still a great character that will have potential in tournaments all the time. It doesn't matter whether Falco was 25th or 27th or 32nd or 40th. It doesn't matter, because he's still going to struggle with certain matchups but then do fairly well versus like a lot of the cast. It doesn't matter whether Zelda is literally last, second to last, third to last, fifth to last. She's still bad. Like, you shouldn't be using her, you know? And I see a lot of people, like, call other players tier whores, which, I mean, let's be real. If you are trying to seriously win tournaments, like, consistently, you're playing a top tier. And if you're not playing a top tier and you are also trying to win, you're not. Like, you're lying to yourself in one way or the other. Unless you think your character is vastly underrated and is actually amazing. That, like, but so for some reason no other person thinks that. Like, you can definitely develop the meta of your character. I'm not saying you can't. However, like, if you are trying to get immediate results, just, you know, play Sheik kind of thing. You can play your low tiers. I'm not saying don't play your low tiers, because you can want to be the best of your character or the best from your local scene, and you can do that with characters that aren't great. But if you're talking about, like, on a national scale, if you're trying to, like, top 8 Paragon or Evo or CEO or MLG or Apex, things like that, you gotta play a good character, or at least a combination of mediocre characters that cover all of your weaknesses. Like, let's say Abadango. He plays Pac-Man and Wario. Pac-Man, not, I mean, I don't think even he considers him a great character, under top 20 as far as I remember in his tier list. But he also plays Wario to cover the few matchups that he doesn't like with Pac-Man. Shut up, phone. So like, there's a bunch of people just always ask every top player, where do you think this character is in the tier list? Where do you think he's good? Do you think he's bad? But, like, realistically, every single person, pretty much, that is, like, knows what's happening in the meta, knows the top 10 to 15 characters. Like, you might switch them around in order, but again, that doesn't really matter, because whether Pikachu's second or 7th or 10th, like, he still does well in tournaments. I still do really well regardless of if the character's 10th or 2nd. It doesn't matter. But, like, the more important thing is the designation of, like, the three things. And sure, like, there are some characters that are, like, very close to the cusp of, like, are they solo viable, or do you need a secondary? But, like, it doesn't really matter, because you can develop your character, and hell, they might even get buffed or nerfed depending on, you know, Sakurai. You know, you might see characters like Peach suddenly have stronger combos, and you're just like, oh man, that character just got way better. You might see Sheik get lag on her Fair and she's like, man, she's way worse. But, like, a more important thing that no one actually really talks about that much is matchups. Like, the amalgamation of your matchup spread is essentially whether or not you're a good character. Sheik, think about it. Sheik doesn't lose a matchup, goes even with 1 to 3 characters. Most people, and I would agree, she's the best character. Pikachu, you know, loses to Luigi, in my opinion, although it's not as bad as I used to think. Goes even with 3 characters like Ness, Olimar, and Sheik, and then pretty much beats everybody else. Fox, who I think is a very good character, does really well against the majority of the top tiers, kind of struggles versus Pikachu and Sheik, but that's about it, does well versus every other top tier. Rosalina struggles kind of with Pikachu, struggles kind of with Zero Suit, struggles kind of with Sheik, but then does very well versus pretty much everybody. Zero Suit herself struggles with Sheik and Pikachu and maybe Diddy Kong, but, like, doesn't really lose to anyone else, and also has the explosive, like, I can kill you at 40 factor, so even if you lose a matchup, I still might win. So, like, the amalgamation of your matchups is essentially the more important thing, as opposed to some arbitrary number on a tier list. Like, what does it matter if Falco is 22nd or 27th when you should be, like, trying to break down matchups and figure out punishes to make your Sheik matchup better, because if you can suddenly beat the majority of the Sheiks in the world like that you're either equal to in skill or worse or better than, like, that's a huge deal, more than trying to bump him up from 22nd on the tier list to 19th. Like, who cares, you know? But like, so again, you can be the best person of your character. You don't have to try to win nationals. Like, you can have different, like, prerogatives to play this game. I think prerogatives is the right word. I don't know. I'm trying to throw in fancy words because I forget the simple ones sometimes. But like, you can have any reason you want to play this game, whether or not because it's fun, whether it's because you want to win, whether that's because you want to prove that, you know, you're the best low tier warrior, you want to play this certain character and you want to make her the best. Like, I know two of my stream regulars, SG wants to be the best Dr. Mario, and Tonetta wants to be the best Samus, and that's fine, but I don't think they are both also thinking, I'm going to win a national with Samus or Dr. Mario, because I'm pretty sure they know that their character isn't solo viable. Like, Tonetta knows that Sheik Samus is an alpha matchup, and she knows that Pikachu Samus is an alpha matchup, and she knows that Fox Samus is an alpha matchup, but that doesn't mean she's not going to try and, like, perfect her craft and become the best Samus. I mean, although I'm the best Samus, just saying. But, like, but at the same time, like, I might think I'm the best Samus, but I'm not saying I am, but, like, I could be, right? But I'm not going to go Samus solo in tournaments because I have a Pikachu. Pikachu is a significantly better character. Why would I handicap myself when I know Pikachu is a better character? Like, in terms of the three categorizations, like the super viable, kind of viable, and unviable. Like, I know Pikachu is super viable and Samus is kind of viable. Why would I bump down when I can just play the better character at all times? I'm not a tier whore. I just want to win, man. And also, like, Pikachu's awesome. Like, look at the poster. The poster's cute. Poster's cute as hell. But, yeah, this video was kind of all over the place, shorter than the 0 one. I hope you guys enjoyed. So, like, again, when you think people, like, when you're asking about a specific spot on the tier list, it doesn't matter. Like, really, it doesn't. I'm not going to lose sleep if people think Pikachu's the 7th best character instead of the 2nd best character. I'm not going to lose sleep if people think Samus is the worst character when, in my opinion, she's like 30, like in the 30 to 40 range, or just like, you know, like not solo viable, but can be viable with a combination of secondaries. And I've said this before, like, if you play an unviable character, like, essentially, if you pick up a secondary that isn't also an unviable character, you will be using the secondary most of the time in terms of like matchups and stuff. And then if you play like and you can play multiple kind of viable characters because they kind of like balance their matchups. Like, oh, you play Samus for Luigi and you can play Samus for Mario. I mean, I think that, like, just in general, I'm not actually thinking of matchups. And then you can also play, you know, but Samus loses to Pikachu, so you're going to play Falco because Falco does better versus Pikachu. You know, things like that. But it doesn't matter whether or not you think they're 30th or 35th or 40th or 22nd or 28th. Like, just, you know, they're not top tier and you know they're not bottom tier, and that's pretty much the only distinction you need for like a mid-tier character. Bottom tier characters, most people know certain characters are bottom tier. Like, pretty much everyone agrees Lucina's kind of bad, Dr. Mario's kind of bad, Zelda's bad. Just kind of like the same way that people agree with the top tiers. And the characters in between are kind of just there. They're in limbo. They're good but not great and not bad. And that's more of an important distinction than whether or not they're 40th or 39th or 38th because I want my character to be better than Samus. Like, who cares? Just play your character. Or not, and pick a top tier to try to win tournaments. But, yeah. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, my opinion on tier lists, which is why I kind of stopped answering them in my stream chat. Because, by the way, I stream, and I'll put that link down below. And I'll also put my social media down below. And shoutouts to PANDA, my sponsor. You guys should totally check them out. Again, I'll put the links down below. I'll put them above my links, though, because this time I'm not being selfish. Haha. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Oh, bye-bye.